Welcome to Pathways Mentor Program Completion and Designation. The topics we're going to cover: first of all, review on accessing the Pathways Mentor Program from your Paths in Learning and Basecamp. Next, Pathways Mentor Program Completion, as well as Pathways Mentor Designation. We're here to talk about the Pathways Mentor Program completion within the Pathways Mentor Program. We are at the Paths in Learning page right now. Presumably you just logged into Pathways Basecamp at the home screen. From there, you found the Paths in Learning, clicked on that, and here we are. This is where you would find any of your other paths that you're working on. In my case, you'll see dynamic leadership, leadership development, and then just below that you can see the curriculum for Pathways Mentor Program. What we're now going to do is click on Open Curriculum. Now, of course, you can see in mine, because actually I have completed the Pathways Mentor Program, it is going to look very similar to yours, except for the fact that you will not see, in this case, that final check mark, because if you're watching the video for Pathways Mentor Program completion, you will have completed 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 of these items here to begin with. The reason I decided to do this live using my Basecamp is so that you'd sort of get a feel for, oh, I've been here before, and it will look familiar and hopefully make it even easier as you're sort of going through this for the first time. You'll of course see launch, because although those will have been completed. Coming here for your first time on Pathways Mentor Program completion, it will say activate. As usual in Basecamp, you'll click on that one time, and then you'll see launch like these other ones. Now, because I've completed it, it says something different there, so I'm going to do launch through the down arrow. Click on that. This is very similar to level completions. At this point, you will have had at least 2 level completions that you've done, and this is pretty much just like you did before. It's that PDF that you've looked at when you've done that, instructions on how to do that. It's that sort of dance between what you do here with your Vice President Education or Basecamp manager, checking out what he or she needed to, and then approving it on their end. Okay, I think that's all pretty similar. Now, I do want to take this opportunity. At the bottom of the PDF, they do talk about something very important, which is a distinction between having completed the Pathways Mentor Program, which is what we're doing right now, and becoming a Pathways Mentor, having a designation. We call it a Pathways Mentor Designation. What that entails are actually 2 more items. So the first item is, in fact, to have completed the Pathways Mentor Program in Basecamp, which we're doing right now. The second item is that you have been a member in good standing for 6 months or more. And the third and final item is that you have completed 1 entire path. Once you have accomplished those 3 criteria, then you will get that Pathways Mentor designation. Now, you might be rightfully asking, well, okay, how will we know when in fact that has happened? This is done by having the Vice President Education or other club officer wait to process your Pathways Mentor award in Club Central until you have met those 3 criteria. So if you're speaking with your Vice President Education, they would immediately approve your completion of the program within Basecamp as soon as it came through. Nothing wrong with that. The new thing that they'll need to do is verify that you have done that but you've also been a member in good standing for 6 months or more and have completed an entire path. Just so that we can sort of get that feeling of, looking at that check mark, I just want to bring you back. When you come back after having had that dance between you and the VPE and they've approved it in Basecamp, you'll finally see that check mark that is right there. You'll of course see View Certificate, because you will then see your own certificate. To recap, talked about accessing the Pathways Mentor Program from Paths and Learning in your Basecamp as usual. Pathways Mentor Program completion, how to launch to access the PDF, how it's very similar to completing a Pathways level, but you only process this in Basecamp until you actually have the criteria met for the Pathways Mentor Designation, which includes Pathways Mentor Program completion, 6 months membership in good standing, having completed an entire path. And then once all that is done, now you can request your Vice President Education process that award in Club Central. If you have questions or feedback, I would love to hear from you. Please comment or contact me. Thank you so much for your time and interest in watching this video.